Hey everyone, so you've decided you want to get into coding, but maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed. Well, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to break down one of the most basic, most important parts of programming, Python variables. We're going to start from scratch and really focus on how to write clean, good-looking code right from the get-go.
All right, so here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about what variables even are and why we need them. Then, we're going to get our hands dirty and print our very first one. After that, we'll cover the 4 main types of data you'll be using all the time. I'll share a few pro tips to make your code look way cleaner, and then it's your turn to put it all into practice.
So, first things first, what in the world is a variable? Honestly, the best way to think about it is as the memory of your program.
I mean, think about it for a second. If you're playing a video game, how does the computer keep track of your score, or your username, or how much health you have left? How does it remember all that stuff from one moment to the next?
Well, the answer is variables, and this definition here is perfect. Just think of a variable as a labeled container, like a little box where you can store one piece of information. You know, if you remember X from algebra class, it's the exact same idea. The letter X wasn't really a letter, was it? It was a placeholder for some number. That's all a variable is in coding, a placeholder for a value.
All right, let's actually do this. It's really just a 2-step dance. Step 1, you make the variable. You give it a name, something descriptive like age is perfect, then an equal sign, and then the value you want to put in the box. Here, we're storing the number 21. Step 2, you check what's inside the box. You just use the print function for that. See? Super straightforward.
Okay, awesome. You've just created a variable and printed its value. That is a huge first step, seriously. But you know, just printing the number 21 isn't very helpful. In the real world, you'll want to combine your data with some text to explain what it is. And that leads us to a really common problem for beginners. This right here is a classic beginner's trap. It makes total sense to try and write code like this, right? You just add your text and your variable together with plus signs. Seems logical. But what do you think is going to happen when we actually try to run this? And yep, you get this big, scary-looking type error. Now don't worry about it. I promise you, every single programmer on the planet has seen this exact error. All it's really telling you is that Python can't just mash text and numbers together like that. It doesn't know how to add the number 21 to a sentence. They're just different kinds of information. So how do we fix it? Well, there are a few ways, as you can see, but honestly, the one you really want to use, the modern, clean, and highly recommended method, is what's called an f-string. You just pop a little f right before the first quote, and then you can put your variable directly inside these curly braces. It's so much easier to read, and it's what we're going to use from now on. That whole type error we just saw, it brings us perfectly to our next topic. The error happened because we mixed 2 different types of data. So let's actually look at the different kinds of information you can put in your variable containers. Getting this right is super important.
This table is a great little cheat sheet. For now, there are really only 4 types you need to know. We have integers for whole numbers, floats for decimal numbers, strings for any kind of text, and booleans, which are just true or false. Let's quickly go through each one.
First up, integers, or int for short. These are your basic whole numbers. No fractions, no decimals. Think about the number of items in a shopping cart or the score in a game. Simple as that.
Next, we've got floats. A float is just any number that has a decimal point. So it's perfect for stuff like a price, or maybe a GPS coordinate, or a GPA. Anytime you need that decimal precision, you're looking at a float.
Then we have strings. This one's easy. A string is basically just text. Anything at all that you put inside quotation marks, a person's name, a username, an email address, Python sees that as a string. And finally, we have the Boolean. It sounds complicated, but it's actually the simplest one. A Boolean can only have 2 possible values, true or false. That's it. Think of it like a light switch. It's either on or off. You'll use these constantly to control the logic in your code. Now pay attention to this slide because this is a huge mistake that beginners make all the time. If you put true or false inside quotes, like on the right side there, it's not a Boolean anymore. It's just a string, the literal word true. A real Boolean value on the left has no quotes and it has a capital T or a capital F. That tiny detail makes a massive difference.
All right, you've totally got the basics down now. So let's level up with a couple of pro tips that will help you write much cleaner, more efficient code from day one.
Okay, check this out. This is a perfect example of working smarter. On the left, we're creating 3 variables, and it takes 3 lines of code. It works, but it's a little repetitive. Now look at the pro way on the right.
You can do the exact same thing in one single clean line. It just makes your code so much more compact.
And here's another awesome time saver. Let's say you're starting a game and you need to set the score for 3 different players all to 0. Well, instead of doing it on 3 separate lines, you can just chain them all together like this. 1 line, and you're done. Super clean, super efficient.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. We went from what is a variable all the way to some pretty cool shortcuts. But here's the thing about coding. The most important step is going from just watching to actually doing.
So let's do a super quick recap. Key takeaway number 1. A variable is just a container to store a value. Number 2. F-strings are absolutely the best way to print variables along with text. 3. Your 4 essential data types are integers, floats, strings, and booleans. And finally, use those multiple assignment tricks to write cleaner, shorter code.
And that brings us to the end. But really, it's just the beginning for you. Theory is great, but coding is a hands-on skill. So here is your challenge. Open up a code editor. Google Colab is perfect for this because it just runs in your web browser, no install needed, and create 4 new variables. Make 1 integer, 1 float, 1 string, and 1 boolean. And try to think of examples we didn't use today. This is truly the best way to make it all stick. Thanks for joining me, and happy coding!